So the first thing we got to ask, and we're going to talk about here, is how long is Kyle Shanahan going to stay with the San Francisco 49ers? Is he the coach of the future? Is that 6-year contract a mistake? What's going on here, Alex? Break things down for us, please.
Here's the issue is Kyle Shanahan's done an incredible job at convincing everyone he's this massive genius. And hand up, I am completely guilty of this. I sipped the
I'll raise
Kyle
my hand
Shanahan
too.
Kool-Aid. I think honestly most people did. This
Yep.
narrative wasn't around until this year, and I think he was able to hide behind injuries and hide behind the fact that Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard were. I know it's Beathard, but I think Beathard's funnier. He's been able to hide behind those guys as, hey, these are my starting quarterbacks. Like, I had a great record with Jimmy G at the starting, helm, and with these other guys, I don't have a great record. But now it's gotten to a point where we just need to look at what's on the table. He's got the same winning percentage as Chip Kelly. He's got a worse winning percentage than Mike Singletary. The Niners at home, actually in Levi Stadium, not when they went to Arizona and played in their stadium. They've lost 11 of their last 12 games
Woo.
at home, including 8 in a row. And that is unacceptable for any NFL team. I don't care how bad you are. I don't care how good you are. I don't care where you play. I don't care when you play. You cannot lose 8 straight home games. That is atrocious. And here's the biggest problem I have with Kyle Shanahan is he is so stubborn in his player evaluation and his play calling that he would rather watch the ship sink under his own call than actually, admit that he's wrong on some of these things.
Is he afraid of change?
Huh?
Is he afraid of change?
He's not afraid of change. He's so in love with himself and he's such a narcissist that, back 2 years ago or 3 years ago, he loved Joe Williams out of Utah running back. He said, and John Lynch came out and said this after the fact, that Joe Williams wasn't even on their board, and Kyle Shanahan convinced them to go up, draft him in the third round, and he did not take any meaningful snaps for the Niners. Did the same thing with Trey Sermon. Now,
When was the
Elijah
last time you heard
Mitchell's
of him?
guy. Ayuk the same way. He really wanted Ayuk, and now he's not. He was in the doghouse for a little bit.
Yeah, at least
And
Ayuk is. I'll give him. At least that's probably one of the better, worst ones because he's had some really explosive performances.
Yeah, he started to come back a little bit,
Yeah.
but I think it's pointing to the fact that Kyle Shanahan is so in tune to whatever he thinks is right.
Mhm.
Is he's reluctant to make halftime adjustments. We really see, and I saw this especially in that Colts game where that first drive, just gashing them with deep play action and throwing the ball down the field. Elijah Mitchell gashing teams with nice sweeps and different creative runs, and then you just didn't see any of that. And in the second half, and they came out and they didn't push the ball down the field again, and it just looks so flat from Kyle Shanahan's offenses. I don't know what the fix is. I don't know if he's still the answer. I don't think he is, but I don't know if we're in a situation where we have the ability to move on from him because we've already committed so much of our offense and so much of our draft capital to fit the Kyle Shanahan system. So he almost kind of has the San Francisco Niners by the balls right now, and we are just getting dragged along for the ride.
Yeah, there's a lot more questions than answers we're seeing in San Francisco. I think there's a lot of good that's come out of Kyle Shanahan. I mean, there are.
He made a Super Bowl run.
Yeah, he was. I mean, the
Great.
Niners are, and Kyle Shanahan is one completed pass away from winning the Super Bowl. That's really what it comes down to there. There's a lot of pauses that we've seen, but I think it's this inability to adjust, or maybe not inability, or maybe it's more just choosing not to adjust and trying to keep running headfirst into a wall. That's kind of killing them there. And John Lynch is done. He's had a solid tenure there in San Francisco. He's done a good job as a GM up until now. He has a choice to make. He has a choice to make here. It's going to be really because I mean the Niners have been able to for the last 2 years now this year as well. They've been able to ride the injury train, and I really think the last thing is if Trey Lance does not show a good enough upside by the end of this year, Kyle Shanahan's probably out in San Francisco. I think his job rides on his job.
Here's the biggest issue I have with this Cardinals game is you walk into that game, you're at home. Right before the game, no D-Hop, no A.J. Green, no Kyler Murray. And on the 49ers side, we get George Kittle back. We have a healthy Debo, healthy IU. Elijah Mitchell's out there. You have a healthy offensive line. you have Jimmy Garoppolo, and you come out and get stomped by who everyone thought was a bad coach in Cliff Kingsbury. And Colt McCoy and James Conner are the two guys that are just ramming the ball down your throat for 60 minutes on Sunday. It was an atrocious showing by them. It's
You got ran out of the building by Colt McCoy.
Ridiculous.
Who even knew? There's a lot of people that didn't even know he was in the league.
No.
Colt McCoy, one of the greatest quarterbacks Texas has ever seen. I mean, was it Texas and Bama where Colt McCoy got injured in the championship game? Was that the one? I had this really vague memory of me sitting in the living room real late on the school night watching the trophy presentation after Colt McCoy went down with injury.
Don't ask me why, personally, that's the thing. It happened so long ago. I couldn't tell you. If you polled 100 football fans, I bet you'd get split responses whether Colt McCoy was a coach at Texas and a backup quarterback in the NFL. It's ridiculous. How do we freaking lose to that team? It's nuts.
And not even lose. You get beat
back. Not even close.
At home, as you allude to, 8 games in a row. Maybe it's just Santa Clara. You think Santa Clara is a problem?
No.
Because they were good in San Francisco.
I'm done talking about this.
All right, fair enough. I'll be able to move on from there.